Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, as we are just about a minute and 20 seconds away from our tip-off this afternoon in this OCAA West men's basketball matchup. We have the visiting Fanshawe Falcons against the home team, the Redeemer Royals. I'm joined in the booth by Will Dykstra this afternoon. Will, how are you?
Doing well, Jared. Great to be here with you again. And, Redeemer's coming in off that win last week against Canada. They've had the whole week to prepare for this one. We've talked about it all week. A huge battle in terms of standings, head-to-head differential, chance to get even with Fanshawe for that 8th place spot. Really excited for this one today.
Absolutely. And as far as standings go, both these teams a little bit towards the bottom of the OCAA West. Redeemer currently sitting at 2-6, and Fanshawe 3-5. So this is a good tight matchup between some teams that could definitely have an even game this afternoon. Redeemer coming off a good win last week against Canada. I believe it was a 24-26 point win at home, so they're taking some good momentum into this one.
And Niagara, no less on a good run. Two of their first 3 wins are their previous 2 games, right? And you saw that big win on Wednesday, against Niagara at home. They had a huge 29-point fourth quarter in that one. Of course, Brandon Bogart having the second of his 2 solid games, 16 points. He had 17 points against Canada in that win. So Niagara's coming in off a bit of a heater. Redeemer, of course, their only other win was against Canada. So a really big game in terms of standings for this one, as you said.
Yeah, and this is the first meeting between Fanshawe and Redeemer this season. So we will see what that brings us. We'll take a quick break for the national anthem and the pregame prayer, and we'll be back for the start of the game.
And so we're just about set to go here at Redeemer. We'll take a quick look at the starting lineups for both teams today. We'll start with the visiting Fanshawe Falcons. Of course, they're led by their third-year guard, Brandon Bogart, averages over 33 minutes per game. He had a fantastic 17-point performance against Niagara on Wednesday, a 16-point performance in their previous game against Canada. We've also got Demarion Ennis, number 5. He's the second-year guard out of Windsor, and he'll be joined in the backcourt by Amon Walker. In the front court, it'll be Hansel Matunga, and then number 24, Kual will be down at the 5 position. He averages just under 10 points per game. Meanwhile, for Redeemer has Cole Arnold, number 3. He'll be the starting point guard in today's game. Arnold had a pretty solid game against Canada here on Saturday. Joining him in the backcourt is going to be the OCAA West leading scorer, Parker Davis. We talk about it all week, every time we're here. Last Saturday was no different. He had 25 points on 10 for 20 shooting against Canada. He also had 4 assists and 3 rebounds and 3 steals. He averages 23.9 points per game. That is tops across the entire OCAA, and certainly up there in the CCAA national standings or rankings as well. And then after that, we've got the twins. We've got Jerry and Gabe Della Foresta starting, and they'll be joined by their fellow Almont brother, Benjamin Dick. And on that word, Ben Dick, he had 12 points in the game last week against Canada, a really solid game. And it was a really efficient game overall for Redeemer. We talked about this a lot in our broadcast last week, and we hope you were joining us then as well. But Redeemer had 40 made field goals, 32 assists, Jared, on those 40 made field goals. A real efficient showing from Redeemer. Of course, still things that they need to clean up, and we talked with Coach Hopkins about this before the game. But a very encouraging game for Redeemer. They came up to a really solid win, and really looking forward to this one.
Absolutely. Just about to get started here. Referee brings the ball to half court. We have Dick and Kual, and it'll be Davis who controls off the jump ball, drives straight to the hole. Layup is no good, and outlet to Bogart. Almost skipped away from him, but it's up the floor. But we've got a quick steal by Cole Arnold. He'll go quick the other way.
Yeah, that's good front court defense there.
And it'll be a foul against Fanshawe on the layup by Parker Davis. He'll go to the free throw line for an early chance at 2.
Yeah, that's kind of a bit of the hectic pace we saw on Saturday, though. A lot of back and forth. Redeemer trying to control Canada. Canada was playing a lot of high-pressure defense, but, you know, Parker's doing what he does best, getting to the rim quickly, and he'll have 2 shots here.
Absolutely. First one catches the front of the rim, but falls for Davis.
And Davis, he's had, of course, a historic season. That's something that we've been saying every game, but he's been really solid from the free throw line. Shoots over 80% from there, and that's on 30 minutes a game. A real volume score for Redeemer in every category.
Inbound by Fanshawe. Davis picking up Amon Walker at three-quarter court. Swing to the wing for Bogart. He drives into the lane, kicks it to Kual, who has an open layup, finishes that with the left hand.
Yeah, that's a really good look, and Bogart's going to draw a lot of attention all game. That's something that we can expect to see, and Kual's just there to pick up the dirty laundry, puts it in for 2.
Got Fanshawe running a little bit of a zone press for Redeemer, but they get past half court with ease. Davis now. Swings it to Jeremiah Del Foresta. The entry pass into Gabe Del Foresta turned over. Bogart comes down right side of the court here, kicks it to the corner. Back to Bogart on the wing. Swung across to Matunga. Now to Walker. Entry pass. A spin against Davis and flipped up by Demarion Ennis.
Yeah.
For 2.
And Ennis getting inside on Davis. That's a matchup that they're going to want to live with all day.
We've got an open 3 taken by Jeremiah Del Foresta. Offensive rebound, no good. From Gabe Del Foresta. It's kicked out by Ben Dick to Cole Arnold at the top of the 3-point line. That one's no good either. Rebound by Kual. He runs the floor. And that's missed by Fanshawe. Will have a rebound and an outlet to Arnold at half court. Davis now. Drives through the middle. Right hand, acrobatic finish by Parker Davis, and that's his first field goal, but 4 points for Davis early on.
Yeah, for sure. That's a one-on-one battle that we've seen Davis really just take advantage of whenever he gets that matchup. You can live with that. Let him get inside, go till he gets stopped, and that's where you get your kickouts and your open 3s.
This is Ennis. Swings to Bogart to the top of the key, guarded by Arnold. Crossover, drives left, and pulls up with a little floater that's a little bit long. Ben Dick with the rebound, and the outlet down to Davis, who's got no one with him. That dribble gets a little bit away from him, but he's able to adjust and finish with the left hand. Impressive adjustment by Parker Davis.
Yeah, and you see Ben Dick, as soon as he gets that ball, his eyes light up, and that's a quick turnaround. That's something that they practice. That's a connection between those two guys that you know Davis is going to be going down, Parker's going deep to try and get those easy buckets.
Yeah. And something we've seen from Redeemer's home games so far this season is that, they can sometimes stick with it at the beginning of the first quarter, but sometimes it can get away by the end of the first quarter, especially against some of the teams towards the top of the OCAA standings, but Redeemer's got themselves a 4-point lead early. They've been playing good defense, getting out and running, and that's a good sign so far for the Royals.
Yeah, and I like to see Davis get his hands on the ball early. And, you don't want to rely too much on your top player, but Redeemer's able to find the open looks. That's what you want to see. And I like the confidence of some of the other guys to be confident to shoot those deep shots. We saw Arnold miss one earlier. That's gonna come back to roost later in the game.
Yeah. And it's okay for a team to rely on their top player a lot, so long as it's not too forced, right?
Yeah.
If it's naturally getting to him through the flow of the offense, then no complaints had. We've got the ball with Cole Arnold on the left wing, guarded by Walker, drives left, has Parker Davis on the back cut. That one just gets away from him. It'll be a turnover for the Royals in Fanshawe ball.
Yeah, I want to see a little bit more reversing there from Redeemer. Half-court offense is something that we've talked about, all the way going back to last season, but getting those extra reversals, I think, is what draws that help away from where Davis is able to get a little bit more separation on that cut. Could have resulted in a more open take.
This is Bogart now on the left wing, driving against Arnold. Pulls up for that little left-handed floater again. This time he makes it. Cuts the lead to 2.
That's the first look of the game for Bogart. I think Redeemer's done a good job early. If that's going to be what Bogart's going to do, I think you're living with that if you're Coach Hopkins.
Mm-hmm. Davis picks up his dribble, swings it to De La Foresta, gets it right back. One-on-one against Bogart, spins, picks up, fading away. Long 2-point jump shot, good for Parker Davis. Is that 6 points or 8 even?
That's 8 points.
That's 8 points for Parker Davis early in this first quarter. We've got kick to the corner now for Fanshawe. Good movement of the feet by Jeremiah De La Foresta to stay in front of his man. Now we got Cole Arnold running the floor.
Nice.
The pick up, and the little Euro doesn't quite go down, just falls off the rim. And now we've got Demarion Ennis going off the other way. He dribbles that off of a Redeemer player's foot, and it'll be Fanshawe to inbound as we see our first substitutions coming into the game for the Royals. We've got number 8, Tomás Barbosa, and number 7, Elijah Ona.
Yeah, Barbosa was fantastic against Canadore. He came in off the bench, a guy that we normally see in the starting lineup. He had 21 points in the game, was very efficient from the field, 9 for 18. He also had 9 rebounds, 5 assists. Real impact player, and we're seeing Coach Hopkins elect to take him off the bench again in this one.
Mm-hmm. Kual facing up Gabriel De La Foresta, dumps it off to, we had a substitution for Fanshawe as well. That's Caleb LaBelle, the 4th-year player.
And I like this two bigs look here from Coach Marcatulio. He's been around this Fanshawe program for 14 years, a real tenured guy. I like him putting 2 bigs in early to try and create a little bit of a size mismatch. We'll just hope it doesn't come back to bite him with some outside shooting.
We've got Davis for 3. That one just catches the left side of the rim, but Elijah Ona with the offensive rebound, kicks it back out to Davis. He drives right, but it's poked away from behind him by Amon Walker. Now we've got Bogart looking ahead. Barbosa almost with the interception, but that was Demarion Ennis running the floor and getting the layup off that one. Redeemer still leading by 2.
Yeah, I think right there what we're seeing from the Fanshawe bench is we're seeing a change of the defensive look in the middle of the play. And you saw a couple of guys at the end of the bench put 5 fingers up in the air. That normally indicates a man look, whereas it looked like before that the 2 bigs might have played a bit of a 2-man low zone. So that might be something Marcatulio is going to try and do to try to mitigate the effects of Parker Davis, getting anything too much at a one matchup at a time.
This is Bogart, matched up with Ona. Flips it to a new substitute who will give you some details on in a moment. Davis running after that one to save it, flips it cross court. This is Demarion Ennis now. Guarded by Barbosa, but spins away from him. Bogart now on the wing. Entry pass into Lennon Campos. Kick to the corner. That three's a little bit short from Ennis. He drives. Loose ball in the paint.
Yeah.
That'll be a kick ball.
Yeah.
And we'll have a Fanshawe inbound on the side, I believe.
Yeah, that's an instance there. You saw a couple of Redeemer guys, Davis in particular, try and streak out before the ball was secured. And it works when you get those looks in transition. But at the same time, you do need to secure those rebounds. That's something that Redeemer's done a really good job of this season, securing those defensive rebounds, rather. But they need to make sure that they maintain that. Otherwise, you're going to end up in trouble down the stretch. Here's a nice steal by Ona.
Yeah, great steal by Ona getting on the floor.
That's a charge.
And that's Gabriel De La Foresta attempting to take a layup in the lane. But, yes, offensive foul.
That's really well taken there. That's really well taken there by Walker. I think he saw that Della Foresta was going to try and Euro. You saw that look off to the left side before he picked up his dribble, and I think Walker knew that he was going to take it hard in the chest, took it strong, and that's a really solid defensive play in transition.
And after the offensive foul, we'll have Jack Narula come into the game, and Ben Dick stepping up in the press, reading the pass, got a steal, and almost the finish to go with it. He's fouled. That one just didn't fall. So close, but Ben Dick will go to the line for the chance at a couple free throws.
Yeah, Ben Dick's been a real, pleasant guy to watch in the last couple of games. On the season, he's only averaging 4 points per game on 13 minutes, but he's found his way back into the starting lineup after a couple games kind of mid-semester where he was coming off the bench. And I think that's kind of what, Coach Foster Brown, and Coach Stephen Hopkins were trying to get by giving Ben a little bit of competition. Ben's been here for a while, a lot of first-year guys who play a similar position, and Ben's done a really good job of responding kind of down the stretch in this first semester.
And he gets one of those 2 free throws to go. We've got Jack Narula with the offensive rebound. As he goes down with it, it gets stripped away from him, and it'll be a jump ball, I believe, which will go the way of Fanshawe.
And that's one of those guys we talk about. Jack has been a real solid player. He's a good recruit, wasn't really expecting to play, as big a role in the front court for Redeemer, but he's taken on the challenge with a lot of confidence, and he's done really, really well. I mean, you speak with Coach Brown, he's really happy with the production he's seen. He had 4 assists in the game on Saturday.
Nice take by Josh Lawrence on the other end, the first year for Fanshawe.
Yeah, Josh Lawrence. He leads Fanshawe in blocks.
And that one was just maybe a little bit of a wayward pass by Parker Davis, not enough intent, or the defender in too good position. But we had, I believe that was Eamon Walker the other way with the layup there for Fanshawe, and Redeemer will take a timeout.
Yeah, so to start to this one, I think Fanshawe is kind of leveraging a little bit of their depth, and you want to see that, I think. You got a lot of guys who can really make a difference. Redeemer does have a bit more of a top-heavy roster, especially from the points and minutes side of things. That's something that we talked about, Jared, before the game. Brandon Bogart averages 33 minutes per game. Kowal, the only player who confidently averages over, 20 minutes per game. And that's something that we're going to see. Fanshawe is going to throw a lot of bodies out there and try to really wear down this Redeemer team down the stretch.
Mm-hmm. And as we have a moment for the timeout, we'd like to remind you that tonight's Redeemer Royals basketball game is proudly brought to you by Finn Pools, a proud sponsor of your Royals and the Make a Splash move of the game. For over 25 years, Finn Pools has been transforming backyards with custom designs, expert installations, and trusted maintenance, delivering top-quality products they stand behind. From concept to completion, they believe kindness matters and every project deserves excellence. So if you're interested, visit finpools.ca to learn more or to start your next pool project today. Thank you to Finn Pools for supporting Redeemer Royals athletics. And we get things started again. Elijah Ona bringing the ball across half court for the Royals. Guarded by Addie Lever, number 13 for Fanshawe. Della Foresta now swings it to Barbosa. Up, fake in the drive, left. Fakes a pass to the corner on the attempted layup. I believe it's last touch off Fanshawe. Redeemer will have an inbound under the basket.
Yeah, Barbosa's really good at getting in the lane. You wouldn't expect that from a player of his stature to be as good on the inside, but especially with the left hand, we've seen him finish a lot of those tough ones in traffic.
I believe we'll have a foul even before the inbound occurred. Declan Andrade, the number 12. Guarding Jack Narula, committed the foul a moment ago. We have Davis in the corner, faking a three, driving right. Tries to swing it to Narula quickly, but that one's intersected.
Yeah, you're seeing that help come from Andrade there. It's a very, very high hedge. Really trying to force Davis to get rid of it there in that kind of dead zone and 20 feet out on the 45. And done successfully there. Andrade gets his hands in the way.
And Elijah Ona with a foul on the other end, just a tad too physical with Addie Lever, the second-year guard for Fanshawe. Inbound now. Andrade. Lever swings it to, or we have it now with Walker. Andrade facing up against Narula. Spin. Little right-handed float shot. That's good.
Yeah, and they'll take that all day. I think the matchup against Narula, they're going to try and exploit that as best they can. Fanshawe's got a lot of bigger bodies they can throw out there to go against them.
Davis with a little behind-the-back move, trying to draw separation. picks up his dribble, kicks it to the wing for Jeremiah Del Foresta. He thought he had a chance to shoot a three, but hesitated halfway through, threw it off the ground to try and maybe get it off the Fanshawe defender and back to himself, but called for a double dribble. It'll be a Fanshawe possession.
Yeah, that's one of those where you fake the shot, you chuck it down. If you pick it up with two hands and then put it down again, that does constitute a double dribble, so the right call there.
Nikola Sebic with the three from the left wing, no good, but Andrade with the rebound gets it back out to the three-point line. Gets it now to Lawrence, but that's intercepted by Jeremiah Del Foresta. Ahead to Parker Davis now, thinks about a wing three.
That's the shot.
Just a little bit right.
And that's the shot you want from Davis, though. I'm okay with that, knowing that it's a rhythm shot for him.
You got Josh Lawrence, a Euro step in the lane, no good, but he gets his offensive rebound. See if he can step through against the many Redeemer defenders in the lane. He goes up for a third time and will get the foul call this time and go to the free throw line.
Yeah, Josh Lawrence, not a guy that is typically relied on for high volume minutes. He only had 8 minutes against Niagara on Wednesday, was unable to register a made basket, but a guy that can provide a lot of energy off the bench. Averages 5 points per game. We mentioned his defensive presence as well. So certainly a player that the Fanshawe can rely on for some production, especially against a Redeemer team that might be a little bit more undersized. 6 rebounds per game is some really solid production.
Short on that second free throw, and we've got Jeremiah Del Foresta with the rebound. Cole Arnold will look to set up the offense, holding one finger in the air to indicate what.
And you see that extra help right there, and yeah, you'll see the moving screen get called on Arnold. That's a tough break for Redeemer, but that's number 13 there, Lever. That's playing a lot more aggressive in the lane than you'll see on any other white jersey today. Just trying to make it Redeemer take more seconds off the shot clock to get it to their leading score.
And we've got Bogart back in the game after a few minutes on the bench. This is Lever now, guarded by Barbosa. Kicks it to Sebic on the wing. Bogart now looking for an entry. Swings it to Lever on the left wing. Andrade with the handoff to Lever as he goes forward, but that's stripped away from him. Davis now driving left with speed.
Yep.
And some contact on the attempted layup, and Parker Davis will go to the free throw line, wincing a bit afterwards, it looks like, but far be it from Parker Davis to take himself out of a game. He's very tough, and he'll probably stay in if I had my money on something. As we also have Gabriel Del Foresta and Ben Dick check back into the game.
And this is one stat I want to look at, Jared, throughout the game, is the number of field goals, right? And this is something that Redeemers, had struggles with in previous seasons, giving up too many shot attempts. And a number of ways that can occur, right? You've got turnovers, but also offensive rebounds. And keeping those two numbers down is what's going to allow those field goal attempts to kind of stay relatively close to each other. We're seeing Fanshawe shoot much better, 53% to Redeemers, 23% on the game. But if you can keep those numbers pretty close, Redeemer shoots 38% from the field. That's 18th in the OCAA. They can't afford to give up more field goal attempts to the other team if they want to stay competitive in any game, really, in the OCAA West, but let alone a crucial game like today.
And it seems like Redeemer makes that up, as we see in free throws made and free throw percentage, where they're 4th and 2nd, respectively, in the OCAA. Bogart now driving from the left wing, kicks it back out to Kowal. Kowal check back into the game. A deep 2-point jumper, no good. That's Barbosa trying to secure the rebound, but it'll go the way of Fanshawe for a baseline out of bounds.
And that's one of those, I think, if you're Barbosa, right? You can get up and try and make an athletic rebound, but you got two guys coming in there, Addy Lever, as well as I believe that was number 12, Andrade. Without being touched, they're going to win that rebounding battle every time. So we definitely need to be a little bit more physical.
Kowal. We've got an offensive foul called against...
No, it's a 3-second violation, Jared.
A 3-second violation. There we go.
Not one you see every day, I'll tell you that much. I think Andrade's kind of thinking he should have gotten that ball to maybe get a 15-foot look, but maybe a little bit of pressure being shown here. Not really seeing too much so far from Coach Marcatulio.
Davis drives left on Lever, gets to the paint, and he'll be fouled on the attempted layup. That seems to be a very reliable strategy for Parker Davis. He's either going to make it or he's going to draw a foul pretty much, and that's how he's getting to score the amount of points he is so far this season at 24 points a game.
Yeah. He averages just under 8 free throw attempts per game, right? And that's something that a guy who's got the ball in his hands a lot is going to do inevitably. But, a really crafty guy inside, able to draw contact in places where maybe not is as physical as it actually is, but looks like a foul. And, he takes advantage of those opportunities as well. He's having a pretty good first quarter.
Yeah, and you say he averages 8 free throw attempts a game. I think those were his 5th and 6th of tonight's game in the first quarter already.
Yeah.
So, and definitely probably a big reason why Redeemer is so far up the OCAA leaderboard in terms of free throws made and their percentage. It's coming from Parker Davis. But we get back to Fanshawe possession. Bogart now. Entry into Caleb LaBelle. Spins against Ben Dick, puts up a left-handed shot. That one falls out, but Kual with the offensive rebound puts that home for 2 to give Fanshawe back their lead after Davis just equalized with those 2 free throws.
Yeah, quite the lineup here. I mean, you got Demarion Ennis, Kual, as we mentioned, and of course LaBelle. That's some height that Redeemer's going to have to be able to contend with.
Interesting strategy by Addy Lever there, almost kind of fronting
Nice dish.
Parker Davis on the wing there. He had really just been inviting Davis to back cut, and that ended up almost working for Redeemer. They just didn't want Davis getting the ball at the top of the key. So interesting look from Fanshawe's defense early in this first quarter on Parker Davis.
You'll see Jackson Thackeray come in the game now. He was questionable to play in this one with a leg injury. His quad, you can see it wrapped up pretty tightly on that right quad. Coach Hopkins was not sure that he was going to play pregame, but he's getting his first minutes of the game today.
Quick 3 by Gabriel Del Foresta in the corner. No good. As we get to less than a minute of play here in this first quarter, Fanshawe leading by 4. We've got Bogart. That comes away from him. Thackeray with the hustle play, trying to keep the possession alive for the Royals. That ball just gets away from him, but great effort by Thackeray.
And this should not be a reset. There was no clear change of possession. The shot clock got reset to 24. I think they're going to correct that here. It's going back to 14.
At 14 now.
Yeah, that's the right call. Thackeray did get a touch on it, but never did secure possession.
We've got Addy Lever to the wing. We've got Walker driving with the right hand.
And that should be a double dribble. I disagree with that there. That should have been a double dribble. So Ennis, he catches the ball, but never does actually lose possession of it. So that should have been called.
Take by Gabe Del Foresta inside. With Addy Lever now running the floor. Outlet to Kual. Swing intended for Bogart, but no good.
Nice pass.
Great look by Davis ahead to the number 8, Thomas Barbosa, running the floor. And the layup is good for the Royals as we have 12 seconds left now in this quarter. LaBelle. And now to Bogart with 8 to work on Thackeray. Gets the screen. Ben Dick switches on, but Thackeray looks to recover. That's into the corner. That's a very contested 3. And no good for Fanshawe. As we finish out this first quarter, Fanshawe leading 20 to Redeemer's 16.
Yeah, a really good first quarter. I think for Redeemer, the one thing that I was really focusing, Jared, coming into this game was not allowing Fanshawe to get out in transition. And I saw the only time that I thought that it was potentially going to hurt them was on that last possession, actually. So on the made basket from Barbosa, we saw this against Canadore multiple times. Even on made baskets, Canadore was able to break out in transition and get a 2-on-1, a 3-on-1, and an easy layup, even sometimes a 2-on-0. That cannot be acceptable if you want to stay competitive in this division. It just cannot be. And so on that possession, you saw Davis, Barbosa, and I think it was one of the Del Foresta twins down there, following the layup by Barbosa. Fanshawe was able to get out quickly. Thankfully, they were able to stop the ball. But if I'm Fanshawe, that's something that I would have seen on film, that I'm saying to my guys, listen, when we give up a basket, because it's going to happen, right? Try and get that out as quickly as possible. Negate that basket that is made by the opposing team. So Redeemer needs to be on their guard to have their get-backs in place to prevent that from becoming an issue. So it was almost an issue there, something that's going to be something to look out for the rest of the game.
Yeah, and unfortunately, even though we've said that, Redeemer did an all-right job with their transition defense in the first quarter, still down 4 points, even though that's maybe one of the better quarters that they've had this season in terms of transition defense. So there are definitely some other things to brush up on to try and take this lead back.
To that, Jared, for sure, I'll say the rebounding battle is something that we look at, right? We talk about it all the time. To keep your field goal attempts in line. Defensive glass, turnovers, and transition defense. Those are the 3 pillars. Right, and this time in this game, they've done a good job on those first 2. The first and the last. I think the offensive glass, they need to keep Fanshawe off that glass a little bit more. You saw some of their bigs getting touches inside. Something to look out for, especially how the lineup is constructed for Fanshawe heading into the second quarter today.
Exactly. But a positive for Redeemer, winning the turnover battle in the first and getting 8 steals off of Fanshawe. They'll look to keep that up as we have Thomas Barbosa inbounding to start the second quarter. And we have Caden King-Stewart checking into the game for his first action of the game. Fanshawe comes the other way now. Amon Walker pulls back to the three-point line, swings that out. That one almost intercepted by Davis. A short corner for Kual up against Gabe Del Foresta. Kick to the corner for Bogart. LaBelle has some space to operate. Flips that up with the left hand, no good, but Kual following again for the offensive rebound and the putback.
And that's good help there by Gabe to come over. That is his help, but the the rebounder needs to get picked up by somebody on the help side as well.
Davis now operating. Drives right against Kual takes contact and flips up the jumper. It'll be no good, but as we say one more time, Parker Davis going to the free throw line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he does like to drive on that baseline. We like seeing him take that jumper from the baseline as well, but more recently I think he's been a little bit more intent to get to the lane. And Kual, gets beat, gets a step against him, tries to recover. That helps a little bit late, and Kual gets burned on the foul.
We'll have Fanshawe take a timeout here for a moment, and while we have the break, Redeemer Royals Basketball would like to thank Wes Skilstra of Remax Escarpment Realty, the official sponsor of our final score updates this season. Wes is passionate about helping families find their place to call home. So whether you're buying or selling, trust experience and integrity, and trust Wes Skilstra of Remax Escarpment Realty. Thank you, Wes, for your ongoing support of Redeemer Royals Athletics.
Yeah, it's an interesting timeout by Fanshawe. I think that at this point in the game, you're doing everything you can in terms of winning the team battle. You're attacking the offensive glass. And I say this every time. In a first quarter, if you're able to get to the offensive glass, that sets the stage for the remainder of the game, especially as a defense. You need to make extra intention on keeping the opposing team off the offensive glass, because if you give it to them early, they're going to continue and make it hard for you, make life hard for you down the stretch. Fanshawe has proven to themselves that they can be effective on the offensive glass, so look for that to be a big point of emphasis for, I think, both teams. Fanshawe sending more guys to the rim, Redeemer placing a bigger emphasis on boxing out and rebounding defensively.
Got Davis, as he's able to make the first from the line from this trip.
And Davis is a guy that he had two solid games last year against Fanshawe. He had 23 points, particularly in their January 2024 loss here at Redeemer. Of course, Redeemer did finally break their away losing streak at Fanshawe with a 87-84 win last year. So these two teams have seen a lot of each other. We're going to see a lot more of each other, probably, especially in the standings down the stretch this year.
Pass fired into Kual in the short corner against Gabe Del Foresta. Flips that up with the left hand. No good. And
nice rebound.
Yeah, great rebound. Thackeray now coming down the left side of the floor. Looks for an option. Looking for a screen from King Stewart. He'll get it.
Yeah, really interesting high hedging pick and roll defense there. I like that drive by Gabe to get in the lane, and he'll get rewarded with two shots. I think if you're Redeemer, though, you got to try and draw those gaps more in possessions, right? Rather than just having one guy dribble up top looking for that pass, swing the ball around the horn quickly, make some dribble attacks, draw some gap defenders. Eventually something's going to open up, ideally earlier in the shot clock than Gabe was able to get down there.
Especially seeing as Redeemer really hasn't got too much into the three ball yet this game, and that can definitely open up some space getting to the lane for some, driving kicks to try and get some more of their shooters involved.
You're right. And Gabe's a guy that can certainly light it up from beyond the arc. We saw that 2 weeks ago in the game against Niagara. Not really so much that we saw against Canadore last week, although he did have a pretty solid game with 9 points. He made two shots from beyond the arc. But he's a guy that can get hot quickly, and Fanshawe doesn't want to really let him get too much underneath his feet.
This is Bogart, guarded by Thackeray. This is Walker. Campos. And we've got a steal by Barbosa. King Stewart running the floor, but turned over by Barbosa, unfortunately. We've got Campos in the lane, little right-handed runner, and rebounds by Kual. Tipped out of bounds by Redeemer. We'll have Fanshawe inbound under Redeemer's basket.
Yeah, I want you to watch on these half-court possessions how often Fanshawe actually dribbles, right? And contrast that against what Redeemer's been able to do offensively, where they've got, their point guard Thackeray or Cole Arnold dribbling quite a lot, right? They're sending guys underneath on flex screens trying to look for interior passes. Nice block.
Yeah, great block by Caden King-Stewart coming over to be the second man on Bogart. We've got Arnold's coming the other way, dribbling left into the lane. Tough shot with the right hand. And no good by Cole Arnold. Kowal now. Kick to the corner and back to Kowal on the wing. Gave Redeemer some time to reset. Switched on to De La Foresta, and now it's Seabitch on the wing for Fanshawe. That one just catches the right side of the rim, no good. Offensive rebound by Campos. Kowal in the paint again, going up the left hand, no good. He gets his offensive rebound again. And not a great job by Redeemer there, just allowing Kowal to get a couple offensive rebounds in a row, and that's been the story of the last 4 or 5 minutes of this game. He's probably had more than half of Fanshawe's offensive rebounds, if we're being honest.
Yeah, 6 rebounds in the game for Kowal, and he had 3 right there. That's a merchant double type play. If you're Fanshawe. But I mean, that was a good defensive possession there from King-Stewart. If we could cut back and see it, I would point it out. But Caden King-Stewart played the help defense. He took away the roll and was able to get out to the shooter that was coming up off the pop after that defender then stepped in to guard the rolling big. Right? And so King-Stewart's he's a first year, right? He's made a really solid, mature defensive play. You got to box out at the end of the day. All that is negated if you cannot secure the rebound. And then from then on, it's just almost like a volleyball match with Kowal just having his hands above everybody, right? At that point, it's a losing battle. But I'm impressed with the defensive play in the half court, but they got to clean up the defensive glass. And I'm sure that's what the timeout was called for. There's no question about it. But it's a matter of execution, I think, from now on, and we'll see if Jack Narula is being put in to kind of address that. Because right now for Fanshawe, you've got Lennon Campos, Campos, and then Kowal, both of whom have had their presence on the glass, 6 rebounds, 3 rebounds respectively.
Nice save by King-Stewart almost as that ball goes out of bounds, flips it to Davis, who has a pass down Main Street to the lane for 2. Cuts the lead down to just 2 for Fanshawe.
Very important stretch right now. Coming out of the timeout, your offense is doing fine. Your defense is doing well, minus the rebounding issues.
So Seabitch almost threw away the ball as it was almost intercepted by Davis, but he gets going as Narula comes over to help as we get a step back 3 from Kowal. And I think that'll be Fanshawe's first 3-pointer of the game.
It is, and it's not the guy that you're focusing on in film or in pregame, and you saw Jerry kind of put his hands up like that's not the scout for this guy. Kowal hitting a nice tough step back jumper. I thought he played well to make that switch with, I think it was Narula. And then, just what can you do? Right now, he might try that again later in the game.
Arnold now in the short corner, gives it to Narula on the elbow. Spins, fakes. And
very nice.
Nice take and an and one for Jack Narula. Some nice patience and just composure working in the paint with some great footwork, a fake, and it all pays off as he gets the layup to go and the foul as well.
And I mean, we talked about this guy. We talk about him every week, just the effect that he's had as a first-year player. Did not come in as a forward, right? And I mean, it doesn't get more textbook big man footwork than what we just saw right there. Going up against Lennon Campos, putting him in the blender, the reverse pivot, and stepping through, getting the N1. That's awesome.
And he finishes it off with the free throw to boot. Keeping the lead at only 2. But we get Amon Walker with a head of steam coming down the other end, and Demarion Ennis now in the dunker spot will go up and get fouled, go to the free throw line. And that was, as you've been talking about, a little bit of capitalization by Fanshawe on the transition against Redeemer.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, that's not an instance, I don't think, where you don't have enough guys back. I think that's just an instance where you don't have enough aggression on the ball early to slow him down.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Ennis coming down with a full head of steam. That's absolutely what allows that to happen. But I think if you put a body, or maybe it was Amon Walker, who was carrying that ball up in the full court, you slow him down, that negates any threat that transition is able to present.
Absolutely. We get Ennis hitting both of his free throws there. Thomas Barbosa and Benjamin Dick back into the game for the Royals.
We might have a zone look here, I think, from Fanshawe with Kowal down at the middle. We'll see what comes out of this. Yeah, it looked like they might have had it. You had those 2 guards kind of playing in the front court, covering a certain bit of space. But as Jerry went through there and his man stayed with him, they step out of it quickly.
We've also got number 15, Joey Kurabel, making his first presence in the game tonight. We've got Narula taking A running floater, no good. And,
yeah, that's just a foul on Jerry there. I'm not sure. He might have got his hand a little bit too high in the face of his opponent, but, you know, I think if you're Redeemer, you can afford to be a little bit more aggressive here. You got some fouls to give. I'm okay with that.
Narula against Kual. Bring the ball up the floor. Almost look for the back cut from Bogart, but we've got Walker on the wing now, driving left on Barbosa. Kicks it back out to the three-point line for Bogart. He'll take a three from a step behind the line. Rattles out, and Barbosa pursues the rebound, gets on the floor, but it's Kirabel who has it, kicks it to Kual. Now Bogart finds Kirabel in the dunker spot. He's able to flip that home for an easy layup.
Yeah, that's great awareness by Bogart. Coming in off the cut, gets it and flips it right to his big underneath. That's a veteran play there to get the assist.
Arnold now. 14 left on the shot clock for the Royals. We've got Narula on the wing. That one's tipped away from him. He's able to save possession and keep it away from the out-of-bounds line. Barbosa now gets the screen from Narula, driving on Walker, but just leaves that ball behind, and Kirabel's with it. We might get a foul against Narula trying to grab that ball off of Kirabel, and it'll stay with Fanshawe.
Yes, I don't think that's a foul on Jack, but either way, Jack needs to know more that pressure is going to be coming to him. He's not typically in a position where he's controlling the ball, so he needs to give that off to one of his guards and get to where he does his best work, which is down inside, off the catch, finding the good spot.
Right-handed drive by Bogart, he just quickly flips it to his left and dumps it off. The first shot wasn't good, but again, Kual, offensive rebound and a layup.
Yeah, Kual's up above double digits, and a lot of that's just coming off of junk, right? Getting underneath, offensive rebound, cleaning up the mess of some of the things that Redeemer's been unable to clean up defensively.
Barbosa going back to that spin move he tried a moment ago. This time he's going to get fouled and go to the free throw line for two.
Yeah, that's just not clean defense. And, you know, you're seeing Brandon Bogart's a little bit frustrated that his teammates can't play clean defense. And I don't think if you're Fanshawe, any one-to-one matchup here, you can play straight up and play honest every time. I don't think that blocks are going to be, you know, too hard to come by if you play clean defense inevitably, right? But I think staying out of foul trouble is more important right now. And I get it, you have depth. But when you're Kual and you've got 13 points in the game and you pick up 2 fouls in the first half, that puts you in a tough position if you're Coach Marcatulio. You don't want to disrupt that momentum by playing sloppy defense.
Could also be some extra frustration because Fanshawe's built themselves a little bit of a lead, but now find themselves with 5 fouls, putting Redeemer in bonus, with still half of the quarter left to play. So lots of time for Redeemer, who's also just a very good free throw shooting team, to capitalize on that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Redeemer's 11 for 13 from the line. That's kept them in this game for sure. 12 of 14 now with that last make.
Mon Walker sizing up Davis. Kirabel swings it to Bogart as we have Elijah Ona check back into the game. Bogart drives right.
Good help.
As that one goes into the lane, but...
And that's a travel. Oh, they're going to call it a held ball here. And that's one I think could go either way.
Yeah, I think I'm okay with that call. I think whoever was that defender in the lane got just 2 hands up, got on top of the ball.
But I'm happy with the help there, right? Barbosa's showing help. He's guarding the big. The big's not stepping too far out. He's not a threat shooting yet. So Ona's pushing Bogart to the baseline there, and the help is being shown by Barbosa, forcing Bogart to look for another option, and then the drive is much more challenging.
Got this one flipped out to Bogart at the top of the three-point line. Little fake and a take inside. He'll be fouled.
And I think if you're Davis there, you can just stay down, right? Hold your ground there. You don't need to necessarily pick up a steal. It's late in the shot clock anyway. I don't think it's too costly of a play, but it's one where you could get yourself in trouble if there's any contact. The official's always going to go with the player who's under more control, which in that case is Brandon Bogart. And Bogart's, he's only got 2 points in the game, of course 3 with that made free throw. Redeemer's done a good job to slow him down, but he hasn't had to be all that productive offensively. It's the guys in the front court on the glass that have given Fanshawe most of their points.
And 2 for 2 on that trip to the line from Brandon Bogart. Elijah Ona bringing it across half court. Gabe Del Foresta with Walker on him, swings it to Davis. Only 8 seconds to work with now for Davis. A one-on-one against Kual, takes it right.
Nice take. That's a matchup you want. late in the shot clock. But here's an example right now, 3-on-3. Fanshawe's got the advantage here, and that's too easy.
And we saw Amon Walker again with no one in front of him, and the same time we harped on this last time, pass to Demarion Ennis and a little flip home.
Yeah, and you're not outnumbered, but 3-on-3 basketball, if you ask anyone who's played the game, is always going to be easier to score than 5-on-5, especially in the full court. That needs to be taken care of if you're a Redeemer.
And that wasn't off of like a long rebound or anything. That was just a made basket.
It was a made basket.
Right? So there should be lots of guys engaged, especially if Davis is taking that one to the lane. A couple misses in the paint by Redeemer as we get Fanshawe coming the other way with Kual now. Bogart thought about a three, drives to the lane with that little left-handed runner, and that's the first time we've seen, or maybe the second time we've seen him make that, but that seems to be a staple shot for him as he gets going a little bit in the second quarter. Also pushes the lead to 10 for Fanshawe. Elijah Ona fakes the handoff, tries to take a quick shot. He'll take some contact and go to the line for two.
That's a bailout on Bogart's part. He can't give up that foul. Ona needs to do better to not get in that situation. That's not a spot where you're typically going to be too much of a threat. However, I do like the confidence of Elijah Ona to go after one of Fanshawe's better defenders, so I'm okay with that. But it's those early possessions where you don't get necessarily a good shot that are typically the ones that result in fast breaks going the other way.
Elijah Ona making that first shot from the line.
Yeah, and he's been really solid, right? You know, the first-year guy, another first year that's had a lot of more of a responsibility placed on him. He's averaging 5 points per game. 13 and a half minutes per game might be under what he's going to average in the second semester.
Got LaBelle giving it up to Bogart as he goes left against Ona. This is Lawrence driving left. He gets high and no contest at the rim for Lawrence, who's able to flip that home as we get Gabe Della Foresta coming down the right wing. Gets a paint touch, but flips it back up to Ben Dick, who now drives left against LaBelle. Up with the left hand. That one's just a bit too much power. Demarion Ennis now coming up the other way. And that's a great read to see Lawrence cutting to the basket. And we'll have a shot by Lawrence and LaBelle. No good. Davis comes the other way down the middle.
Nope.
But LaBelle will come from behind and take that away from him. Davis stays on the ball for a moment, not able to secure it. Bogart now through the middle, left-handed floater. That one's good.
Yeah, and we mentioned that. I mean, Jared, you mentioned that might be a staple. I mean, talk about it. You're coming down 90 miles an hour and putting that off your left foot with the left hand. That's a confident-looking stroke right there.
Yeah. We've got number 9, Jack Thorup, into the game for the Falcons, as well as we see Davis spin and flip that home with his right hand. And we've got how many points now in the game for Parker Davis? 19 points. Almost half, or sorry, more than half of Redeemer's points as they sit at 32. Nice behind the back handle from Lawrence as he picks up his dribble, swings it to Bogart, who's open for three.
Big shot there.
Now he's getting going.
Crucial possession for Redeemer in the half court, and Elijah Ona gets caught on an up screen, and he was, almost 10 feet off of Bogart. He was able to get his feet underneath him and knock down a routine jumper.
And I think that's 7 straight for Bogart for Fanshawe, if I'm not mistaken. Davis tries to answer with a three. That one just rattles out. Redeemer now down 14 with only just a minute and a half left in this second quarter. Thorup swings it to Bogart, drives right, flips a pass into Ennis, who's able to get that to go with his right hand. Bogart doing it all right now, producing through himself and finding cutters as well. Big reason for the 16-point gap for Fanshawe. Redeemer will see if they can get a couple possessions out of this, but only 15 seconds left to work with in the shot clock. Entry to Ben Dick. Kick to the corner for Gabe Della Foresta, up faking the drive. He'll take some contact from behind. Definitely a foul. He'll go to the line for a couple. As we see a quadruple or a full line switch coming into the game for the Royals.
Yeah, I'm not against it. I think Coach Brown, Foster Brown, there on the sidelines, not too happy with the guys that are on right now. They're just getting outworked, quite honestly. But for right now, I mean, you got probably 2, maybe 3 possessions left defensively. You need to get stops, and you need to secure the rebound, set the tone for that second half. It's already going to be a topic of discussion, but you can kind of bring down the intensity of that halftime discussion, I think, if you're Redeemer, by securing a few defensive boards to close out the quarter. And it's 14 offensive rebounds to Redeemer's 5. That's really creating the advantage here for Fanshawe, who is shooting 48% from the field to Redeemer's 23%.
And with that lineup change, we see number 15, Caleb Connors, come into the game for the Royals, his first action of tonight. Gives it up to Thorup. Back to Bogart. He'll take a three again if he's feeling. just off the front of the rim. Narula's in there for the rebound. So is Thorup. He gets it. A shot out of that, but now Caden King-Stewart with the outlet almost taken away by Demarion Ennis, but that'll go out of bounds, and the ball will stay with the Royals as we have 42 left on the game clock, 21 on the shot clock for Redeemer.
4 guys swarming Caden King-Stewart as he brought down that rebound. It's one where you got to control the damage there, and I think he did a pretty good job.
Arnold to Barbosa. Crossover. Picks up his dribble, tries to flip it to the corner for Arnold. Drives right. A nice kick into Narula with a little fading jump shot. That one's just a bit right.
That's okay. So you got a foul to give in this situation. So you're not sending them to the line 90 feet away. So here's an example, right? And I mean, I'm looking at the guy wide open. Barbosa's going to go pick him up right now. This is a half-court set. Redeemer's going to set up some pressure with no, and this is right here. So it's given up right after the inbound.
LaBelle just trying to smack that one home on the putback. 10 seconds left to go on the shot clock. Bogart looking for a screen. He's not going to get it. Steps back. Cole Arnold with a good contest, but that was just a great shot. Good defense, better offense. As Arnold will try and respond. That one just catches the front of the rim. And that's unfortunate for Redeemer, giving up just a tough three-point make at the end of the quarter. And a little bit of extracurriculars happening between the two teams, but the ref will try and sort this out. As we head into halftime, we've got a 17-point gap between these two teams.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what happened there. I think it was probably some talking from the Fanshawe team that Coach Stephen Hopkins wasn't too happy about, and I think he just got teed up. Yeah, that's what happened. So, I mean, I think a couple guys letting the emotions get the best of him there. It was a good shot there by Brandon Bogart, and, you know, he had a bit of a slow start to the half, and I think Redeemer just needs to settle things down a little bit. They need to match the energy of Fanshawe right now. Redeemer's allowing Fanshawe to create energy plays. That's brought them back in this game. You look at the rebounding battle just as a kind of a imagery of that. 29 rebounds for Fanshawe, total rebounds to Redeemer's 11. Redeemer has more turnovers than they do rebounds. And again, the turnovers aren't completely out of hand, I don't think, for either team. But Redeemer needs to do a better job of cleaning those things up, because right now it's just turning into a real struggle point for Redeemer, is the rebounds that they're allowing Fanshawe to get. And again, those are energy plays, right? Energy plays are getting those extra shots, creating those turnovers, getting out in transition, or again, crashing the offensive glass. And so I think you see some of that energy boil over late in this first half, and Fanshawe goes in with a pretty comfortable lead.
Yeah, we're also seeing Redeemer having 13 less field goal attempts so far in this first half, and shooting about half the percentage of Fanshawe so far. And I know you talked about something that Redeemer found in their success against Canada last weekend was the amount of assists they had, and Fanshawe leading that category by 10. They have 14 assists on 23 made field goals, so they're definitely getting some of the offense flowing, and that's going to be something that Redeemer can hope to start doing in this second half.
Yeah, and I think Brandon Bogart was able to get his rhythm going. And he was pretty quiet for the first half, for the first bit, right? And he had 2 big three-pointers there to close out quarter number 2, which he'll definitely be feeling good about. He's the leading scorer in the game for Fanshawe right now with 14 points on 5 for 10 shooting. Of course, 2 out of those 4 three-pointers that he knocked down came in that second quarter.
Yeah, there was a point where in this second quarter, Bogart only had 2 points after his first trip to the line, right? Or I think before his first trip to the line this quarter, he had 2 points, and now has jumped out with 12 more in this quarter.
Yeah.
Real great quarter for Bogart.
And I think for Fanshawe, too, being able to attack the offensive glass, but also being able to rely on your scores, you can feel pretty good about yourself if you're Fanshawe. Again, Fanshawe's not a team that relies on their offense, right? They're a defensive team. Only Humber and Mohawk in the OCAA West are better at keeping teams off the scoreboard. At just 71 points against per game. They only average 77 points against per game. They average 71 points per game, and only Mohawk is one of those teams that are better defensively. Fanshawe is relying on their defense, and we're seeing it again today. They're having an above-average offensive game and a pretty on-course defensive performance.
Yeah. So we hope you enjoyed our first half coverage. We will take a break for halftime and see you in just under 14 minutes.
And we welcome you back to today's coverage of OCAA basketball here at the Redeemer Athletic Center. The second half between the Fanshawe Falcons and Redeemer Royals set to go. The halftime score, Fanshawe 51, Redeemer 34. Just to point out some of the top scores from that game, Redeemer led by none other than Parker Davis, who had 19 of Redeemer's 34 points in the half. While for Fanshawe, it was a team effort. Brandon Bogart closed out that second quarter with a couple of deep threes and has 14 in the game. Kual with 13.7 rebounds. And Demarion Ennis having a quieter first half, but nonetheless 12 points on the game. I'm here with Jared Meyer. My name is Will Dykstra, and we're happy to join you back here on the YouTube live stream. We're going to get, I believe it's a technical foul free throw before we even put 10 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, this was assessed at the end of the second quarter.
Yeah, so for further clarification, what ended up occurring was after Brandon Bogart's last three before the quarter ended, he made a gesture. I believe it was a gesture that resembled a weapon that was not noticed by the officials, but was noticed by Coach Stephen Hopkins on the Redeemer bench. And his objection to the no call or to the missed call is what resulted in the technical foul being assessed to the Redeemer bench, hence the free throw.
And that's Ammon Walker getting in the passing lane, seeing the pass coming, and he gets out in the open floor and gets a dunk on the other end to give Fanshawe some momentum early in this third quarter. But now we've got a foul. It looks like it'll be against Brandon Bogart.
So Fanshawe was getting themselves into a little bit of foul trouble in that first half. They've been the more aggressive team. I think it's one. Oh, this is going to be an unsporting foul, Jared. So you saw the official put his hands above his head. He grasped the left wrist with the right hand. That indicates an unsporting foul, which by definition is a basketball play that is unnecessary physical contact, which is part of the play. And so as a result, we're going to see two shots here for Gabe Della Foresta without any lineup. That'll be assessed as Bogart's first of the game. So if he gets a second unsporting or technical foul, it will result in his ejection, something to look out for.
Gabe Della Foresta now 6 for 6 from the line tonight, and is Redeemer's second top scorer this game, doing so only from the free throw line. It's pretty impressive.
He does not have a field goal. And I like this play here. Davis gets inside, can't finish it, but that's that give and go on the inbound that we see a lot out of this Redeemer team.
This is Lawrence now, swings it to Kual on the left wing. He's against Gabe Della Foresta, pulls up for a two. That one's nothing but net.
That's the second time we've seen Kual do that little step back between the legs. He got one over Jerry earlier in the game from three. That one from a little closer, but nonetheless, the second shot we've seen, something that they might want to address moving forward in the scout for him.
Jack Narula up top. Gabe Della Foresta now, looking to hand it off to Parker Davis. Davis has to force up a three late in the shot clock. That one won't catch any rim and will be a shot clock violation against the Royals. I think that's the first one we've had in the game so far. But just a little bit of a stagnant possession. A couple of touches by some players where they just had the ball dribbling for about 5 or 6 seconds, and it just kind of led into a desperation shot late in the shot clock.
Yeah, and when you're holding the ball for too long, like we saw there in a few instances, it just gives the defense a little bit more confidence and a ticket, nonetheless, to basically get a little bit more aggressive. Yeah, that's a nice look inside Kual. He can't finish it. Dick's going to get the rebound here. And that's a solid rebound. Physical rebound, keeps control of it. Here's Gabe in the full court, guarded by Kual. He turns it over. And it's a 2-on-1 the other way now. Ennis is going to go 1-on-1 against Narula. Puts it up, and he will be fouled. 2 shots coming up. So that foul is going to come on Jack Narula. It was, Ammon Walker was the one that got the pass in the full court. And so he'll earn 2 shots. Coach Brown bringing in some of the guys in white to talk it over here. But that's a turnover by Gabe in the full court, one that he don't see too often from him. He's usually pretty strong on the ball. But a good defensive play to take care of that.
And Fanshawe picking up their second, or I guess both teams having their second foul so far this quarter, only a minute and a half in.
Yeah, so here we're going to see a little bit of a man press. Bogart's guarding the inbounder, but he comes in as a bit of a second safety-esque defender, and now we're seeing a double team. So Bogart's running across the whole court defensively here.
Davis driving left, kicking to the corner for Gabe Della Foresta. The three is just long. And a big lead by Amon Walker to get that rebound. Now outlets down the court, but Cole Arnold reads that.
Oh,
Gets a hand on it, but he gives it right back to the man who he just stole the ball from. Wow. But now Arnold the other way, takes it into the lane. And maybe a little bit of a brave shot attempt from Cole Arnold. Didn't maybe have a high percentage of getting that one to go home. No contact, and that one's out of bounds off of Cole Arnold, and it'll be a Fanshawe ball the other way.
Yeah, you knew. I mean, we could see it up here. As soon as Arnold threw that pass, Walker was coming in as the safety and to pick it off. If you're Arnold, though, you just made a good play on the ball. You gotta just secure it, take a possession, make a good play, get yourself some rhythm back into this game.
It's Kual now, guarded by Narula. Wants Narula to think he's shooting a three, but Amon Walker will. That one's short, catches nothing but air. Only 4 left on the shot clock. It'll be Bogart will have to force something up.
Oh.
It'll come to the wing for Lawrence. He'll have time enough to do so, and it hits the rim on the shot, and we'll have Elijah Ona now out running against Bogart. And that's a charge against Ona. Well taken charge by Brandon Bogart.
Yeah, we saw that earlier in the game, Jared, on the other end of the court. A transition charge taken by the Falcons. And Ona needs to know in that scenario, right? Bogart doesn't really have a hope as a defender in a 2-on-1 situation like that. He's not the best defender for his size, right? And that's just a really savvy play by him. Ona needs to understand that that's probably more likely going to be the strategy taken by the defending player and give that off and let Della Foresta go up for 2 there.
We've got Ennis now in the short corner. Called it for a travel.
Yep. That's good defending. You step in front of your guy, you force him to pick up his dribble, he can't do it cleanly, and that steps, and it's a turnover for Fanshawe.
As we see number 16, Jackson Thackeray, come back into the game for the Royals. As we see Cole Arnold take a moment on the bench.
So another big lineup here for Fanshawe. You know, they've got, that's number 10, that's Campos guarding one of the guards here. We'll see what that pays out for Fanshawe, sorry.
But Redeemer also playing 2 of their quote-unquote bigs with Caden Stewart and Narula in the game. Caden Stewart just missed a shot down low, and we'll have a touch off Fanshawe as Jeremiah Della Foresta loses the ball. It'll stay Royals ball for a baseline out of bounds. We'll have Davis to inbound.
So they're going to run this little loop around after the post-up touch for King Stewart. And it's done so that Davis can get that look on the drive. And that's exactly what it's intended to do right there. So Davis is going to get 2 shots right now. As soon as that ball gets entered, everything else on the other side is just misdirection. So you can draw the help out, allow one of your guards, in this case it's Davis, try and get a step on your man and attack the rim. So that's well drawn up by Redeemer. We've seen them run that action a lot this year.
And that made free throw brings Parker Davis to 20 points on the game, as he now sits 8 for 9 from the free throw line.
Yeah, and this is a game where I think Davis can really get into his rhythm, mixing in the free throws with some of his other buckets. You want to see him get more involved, but ultimately I think drawing some attention away from the rest of his teammates is what's going to be necessary for Redeemer to get back in this one.
Bogart now, screen from LaBelle. LaBelle going up with the left hand. That one's just a little bit, but Campos with the rebound. He comes back out to LaBelle, who spins.
Yeah.
Tries to put a shot up, and was it travel called against him?
Yeah, it was. So in that case, LaBelle gets a little too, I think, theatrical with his spin move, right? And it's in those cases where you sometimes are a little bit off balance, right? And LaBelle came onto it strong, the second offensive rebound. I think that's the right call on the steps, for sure.
We got Thackeray now for the Royals, guarded by Bogart. Swings it to Narula. Handoff for Davis, guarded by Sebich. Drives right and has some open space in front of him, lays it home.
Yeah, that should have been an and one. The help came, but it was very, very late. And so Davis gets past Sebich, who's just letting him go baseline. The help for Fanshawe just was not present, right? And when the help eventually did come, it came late. I think that should have been a foul.
And we'll have a push called against Parker Davis. He disagrees against Nikola Sebich.
Yeah, that's one of those ticky-tack fouls that I think you can't afford if you're Parker. You know, you're not really putting yourself in a position to force a turnover there, right? The player that you're guarding isn't a threat to score. that should just be clean defense.
Campos up fakes a 3, drives
Yep.
right, and another spin move called for a travel against Fanshawe. That's their 3rd this quarter.
So, Coach Marcatelio on the other side of the court is putting his hands in the air, but that's an instance again. That pivot foot on which the spin is made did shuffle, right? So even if the foot does not lift off the ground, it is still a travel, and so it's the right call once again.
Screen rejected by Parker Davis. He'll go to the lane and takes the contact as he gets Seabick in the air, puts it up, and he'll go to the free throw line once again.
Yeah, one thing I'm noticing, Jared, here is that once Parker's able to get in the lane, there is very little action on the outside. And Davis has got his eyes on the rim. It's worked for him. I mean, he's going to have his 11th and 12th shots from the line right now, and he's been productive. Fanshaw's, you're seeing them be a little bit more aggressive in bringing in the help. So I think eventually there's going to have to be some kick-out threes. And Redeemer's happy to do this. Slow the game down, milk as much as you can from the free throw line, and try and shorten this gap.
First free throw made by Parker Davis.
And so, yeah, Davis, that's his 10th free throw made of the game, 24 points. He's already matched his total from last weekend against Canadore.
And his season average.
Mm-hmm.
As we've got Addy Lever up top, swings it to Ennis. Now with Walker back to Lever on the left side. Campos. The top of the key, drives right on Caden King-Stewart. He gets it to go. Some good defense by Caden King-Stewart, but Campos with
it's a good face-up, I think, if you're Campos there going one-on-one against the first-year forward in King-Stewart. I think King-Stewart could have, maybe done a little bit more to use his feet to stay in front of him, but either way, good bucket.
Thackeray spins away from the screen, gets Davis a wing 3 look, but that one's off the mark from Parker Davis. It'll be Fanshawe ball as we see Caleb LaBelle take Lennon Campos out of the game. And Kual back into the game for Fanshawe as well.
So this is good defense here by Jackson, really forcing them undershot. You got 16 seconds left on the shot clock, and there's a turnover right there.
Parker Davis getting down the floor, going to his right hand, flipping it up and over. Acrobatic finish, and 2 more points for Parker Davis.
Little bit of a man press look now for Redeemer. Try and force Fanshawe to speed things up a little bit quicker here.
Amon Walker. Entry into Kual. Now to LaBelle on the block. Working against King-Stewart, flips it up with the right hand, a little bit long, but Kual's there. Shot no good, but Demarion Ennis with the second offensive rebound, and his shot is good.
Yeah, you're sitting ducks down there on the second and third look, right? And it's a tough spot to be in if you're under the basket and the shot's going up from just outside the rim. But that's why the first rebound's that much more important in that scenario.
Fanshawe coming the other way with Kual. Now Addy Lever guarded by Thackeray. Swings it to Demarion Ennis. Walker up top, drives left on Thackeray, tries to maneuver that one behind his back. Kicks it out to the corner. Lever is there, but as is Davis. Gets a big swat on that one, blocked out of bounds. Good defensive read by Parker Davis.
Yeah, for sure. So Davis, if we were to run that back, he actually comes down from guarding who's at the 45. So as that help comes in, forcing Walker into, have to pick up his dribble and pick up the ball up off the ground, Davis takes wherever the ball goes first, makes a nice read, gets the block.
Fanshawe, I think, to take a 3 late in the shot clock. Demarion Ennis just misses that one short.
Okay.
Parker Davis going the other way. Operates through traffic and gets it to the corner for Cole Arnold, who drives and kicks to the other corner for Gabe Del Foresta. That one just off the short rim, unfortunately, but Barbosa is almost there for the rebound. As that pass from Walker is turned over by Ben Dick, but...
Yeah, that's Della Foresta coming up with a steal. So that's a great shot. Arnold getting the extra drive, kicks it underneath. Della Foresta shoots that absolutely in rhythm, right? And even though he misses the shot, he comes right back, gets the steal. You can't be too ambitious with that steal attempt, because if you miss, right, Fanshaw's going the other way and you're in trouble.
I thought we might have had a foul against Caden King-Stewart on the ground. It looks like he almost tripped him on Walker, but no call.
Yeah, so the foul ended up actually being on the guy guarding Gabe here. So Gabe gets 2 shots in the penalty. And that's a rhythm guy. That's a guy that you're going to need, as down the stretch here to maybe make some shots, close this gap a little bit more.
Cool. Kick to Lawrence. Drives left. Gets past Davis and to the rim.
That's a tough finish. King Stewart's a little bit late on the help. There was a switch between Davis and Gabe here on the near side. And so at that point, once the drive's made, it's good patience by number 4 for Fanshawe there, Lawrence, to penetrate and get there before the help is in place.
Barbosa on the wing, working against Kual. That's a deep 2.
Yeah, that's not a good shot. So that's an instance where if you're Barbosa and you got King Stewart kind of camping out in the nail area, you need to get a bit more spacing before pulling up that shot. I get it, you're late in the shot clock. But either way, that's not a good possession for the Royals.
Bogart now the other way, guarded by Arnold. It's Demarion Ennis on the wing. LaBelle inside, gets it to Lawrence at the top of the key, but that's turned over. Barbosa now sends it long, and that's something that we've talked about with the Royals. When they get a steal, they're looking down the court, but it often just ends up in a turnover again as we get Bogart now the other way, and Lawrence is underneath, and that's just another 2 points for Fanshawe. And a blocking foul in transition against Parker Davis. I think Fanshawe definitely realizing Redeemer's go-to route.
Yeah, to me that's a 50-50, either a foul or a no call. So, Parker's not committing a charge by any means, but I'm not sure there was quite enough contact to render that foul necessary. They're going to call it a flop warning, I think, right here on the Fanshawe player who attempted to take the charge. I think that's number 24, Kual there. So bringing over the mops to wipe it up right now. I think, you've had 2 charges already be called on similar transition drives. That one, not enough to warrant a call by any means. So again, 50-50, no call or a blocking foul. I think the benefit of the doubt go in the way of Parker Davis.
But is that something you're surprised to see as Davis just gets across half court in transition, already met by kind of 2 defenders right in his area?
I think so. So again, that's in the dead ball spot right there, which is the area kind of between the volleyball attack line, the volleyball sideline, and the half court line on the offensive side of the court. So if you can create a trap right there defensively, you essentially have a 3-man trap, right? If you can have one guy on the sideline, one guy guarding towards the basket, and the center line creates that 3rd defender. So when you dribble through there full speed ahead, you're not going to want to stop there as an offensive player. So I think you have a good bet of trying to take a charge there. It's one that's successful very often if you're a well-tuned defensive player for sure.
That's good. Demarion Ennis comes off the screen and LaBelle rolls, gets the ball back, but that shot's no good.
Yeah, and to your point right there, Jared, I think Barbosa could have taken that charge.
Yeah, most definitely. That one's just standing on the rim for the Royals. Caden King Stewart gets that one sent back, but we'll get a foul on the shot and a couple of free throws for Caden King Stewart of the Royals.
Yeah, that might be the first offensive rebound of the game we've seen go Redeemer's way. That's really resulted in a scoring opportunity, but they're getting more than doubled in that category. I think 20-8 right now in favor of Fanshawe on the offensive glass. Hasn't been quite as big of a factor in this 3rd quarter. We have certainly seen it, but the score a little bit more even, and I think the biggest, differential in the 2nd quarter was the offensive glass and the differential on the rebounding side of things.
Ennis guarded by Barbosa. Drives past him and gets into the lane. He's met by King Stewart. He's just put off, but Lawrence is there for the offensive rebound and gets 2 for Fanshawe.
Yeah, so that's good gap defense there by Parker to force the attacking player to pick up the dribble, but the help needs to be there a little bit sooner. That's a nice backdoor cut, though, to kind of answer back.
It gives Davis 31 points on the night.
Yeah, he's having a heck of a game. But Redeemer's going to need a little bit more depth from other sources for sure.
LaBelle trying to go against Caden King Stewart again. That one worked for him. A couple of spin moves, but these a little bit more calculated against less traffic.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, I think we need to see Ben Dick get back into this one, and sure enough, he's going right to the scorer's table. King Stewart's just not being physical enough against the bigs. In that case, Addie Lever, when they get a touch. Or sorry, that's LaBelle touching inside. We'll see if they go back to him here.
LaBelle will come up and give a screen to Bogart. Almost got a little bit of a double on Bogart, but LaBelle will take a long 2.
Oh.
But Ennis with space underneath, no one putting a body on him for the offensive rebound, and he's there to get a couple points for Fanshawe as we see the lead jump to 19. 24 seconds left in this third quarter for the Royals. They've got 17 on the shot clock. Barbosa with a 3 from the right wing. That one tipped back out to Redeemer.
Yeah, Coach Brown calling for one here, and I agree. You got to get the last shot and try and build some momentum, and that's not going to help. Luckily, it goes out of bounds, so Redeemer will get to reset here. Sideline out of bounds.
Did we not get a touch off the rim on that Barbosa 3? I don't think the shot clock ever reset, but maybe not.
We'll see here. So actually what ends up happening in those scenarios is you get a 14-second shot clock when an offensive rebound is collected. Yeah, so in that case, it can sometimes create a bit of strategic difference when you elect to take it in the front court or the back court when you're kind of within 2 minutes in a fourth quarter. So you have to get a shot up quickly here. And
almost.
Yeah, that's a interesting attempt there from Davis. Either way, it's a violation. So nothing deep here for Redeemer. You almost play it like a football defensive back unit to try and avoid any long pass from giving Fanshawe any easier time to get up the court. And this is done well for Redeemer here.
And that ends the third quarter between these two teams. The score 71-52. The margin between these two teams not changing much from that third quarter. Fanshawe gained 2 points in their lead after kind of blowing this thing open in the second quarter. So Redeemer hanging with it, but not doing enough to swing the scoreboard the other way. But what are you looking for Redeemer going into this fourth quarter, Will, to try and make a run at this lead?
Yeah, I think what we're definitely going to see is we're going to see some full court pressure being applied. I think it should be soft pressure. It shouldn't be anything too intense because Fanshawe is going to be able to pick that apart pretty quickly. However, I do think that by creating a little bit of havoc, Fanshawe's not going to want to go too quickly. They've got more than enough points they need to win this game. So Fanshawe does not need to score, even any points, let's just call it that, in order to win this game. They can keep Redeemer to under 19 if they play solid defense. I think Redeemer's going to want to speed them up, maximize the number of possessions. They need to get some shots going from beyond the arc, not just because they're worth more points, but also because in doing so, you spread the ball around, you create more threats from different spots around the court. And I mean, Davis can go for 50. Parker can get 50 in this game. He's already got 31. But I think in order for this game to be brought back close, you need to have multiple threats, get Fanshawe chasing you guys down from beyond the arc, and maybe use that as a bit of a catalyst to create scoring from different levels and bring this one a little bit closer.
I'd like to remind you that tonight's Redeemer Royals basketball game is proudly brought to you by Finn Pools, a proud sponsor of your Royals and the Make a Splash move of the game. For over 25 years, Finn Pools has been transforming backyards with custom designs, expert installations, and trusted maintenance, delivering top-quality products they stand behind. From concept to completion, they believe kindness matters and every project deserves excellence. So if you're interested, visit finnpools.ca, that's FINNPOOLS.ca, to learn more or to start your next pool project today. Thank you to Finn Pools for supporting Redeemer Royals Athletics.
Yeah, so right away, you're seeing both of the Della Foresta twins and Cole Arnold back. This is the unit you started the game with. So we're seeing a little bit of high pressure being applied, get the ball out of the hands of Fanshawe's normal kind of facilitator. Eventually they do get it to him here, but I think we're going to start to see that as this quarter progresses. And that's good help there from Davis. He steps in and takes that pass away. That's tough, though, for Cole Arnold to try and go over top.
Comes off the back of Arnold even after Ennis gets the block there. That's Hansel Matunga having his first action since the first quarter started the game.
Right.
We haven't seen him since then. He's back in the game, and some great transition defense there on Cole Arnold.
Yeah, I would have liked to see Cole kind of bring that back out a little bit. I think it was a really good defensive possession, and we're going to see a little bit more of that kind of higher, softer man pressure like I was saying at the break. But you need to do better offensively in turning that into something productive.
Bogart getting the screen from Matunga. He's got two on him. Finds LaBelle, guarded by Dick. Tries to flip around and reverse it, and he does.
Yeah, that's a tough finish over Dick. I'm happy with the possessions I've seen. I would have wanted to see this earlier, a bit of a higher intensity defense on man-to-man.
Barbosa driving left. Looks like he was kind of stumbling, had to get the shot off before he took a couple of steps. And Bogart's going to lob this one up for Matunga, who's running the floor. And it's another 2 points for Fanshawe in transition as we get now Gabe Della Foresta, who has a little bit of a spot up for two on the open floor, and that's his first field goal of the night, having a lot of success from the free throw line. Mm-hmm. That's the first field goal for Gabe Della Foresta.
That's a rhythm shot, so now you got to answer it back with some defensive play. I'm okay with the way Davis is playing with Tunga right now, but you got to have somebody inside to take that pass away. Fanshawe's feeding their bigs today. There's no other way to really say it. Yeah. And it's hurt Redeemer for sure.
Was Redeemer set up in a zone just then, or did they just get a man drawn away from?
I think it's kind of hard to say. I don't think it was really set up enough in the half court to really make the determination. But that might be something to look for too. I think to kind of throw off Fanshawe's rhythm. And if Fanshawe's going to shoot you out of the game, they're going to shoot you out of the game. But by playing in a zone, I think you allow yourself to kind of crash down on those bigs a little bit more. If that's the style that Fanshawe wants to go with, that would be the way of kind of combating that for sure.
LaBelle at the free throw line doesn't get the second to fall, but that is going to be last touch off of Fanshawe. Thought it might be off of Gabe Della Foresta, but we'll go the way of Redeemer. They trail by 22 with a minute 20 gone in this fourth quarter. Arnold guarded by Hansel Matunga. Davis now.
Ben got away with one there on the moving screen for sure.
Arnold to the up fake and drives, tries to swing it across to the corner, but Lennon Campos in the passing lane tips that one out of bounds, and it'll be a Royals baseline out of bounds.
So look at this play here. Arnold's the guy on the low block. They're not running the same inbounds play as before. They're going to try to look for the little up screen for Davis. He can't knock it down.
Della Foresta with a good offensive rebound, kicks it out to Arnold for a try to three.
That would have been a big shot, I think, for Cole Arnold. I think to really open things up from beyond the arc, you would have wanted to have that one back for sure.
Redeemer's not registering a three-pointer so far this game. Fanshawe only with three. It hasn't been a big part of this game for either squad. But still odd to see Redeemer not have any, and we'll get a...
And that's the right call, Jared. So that's an offensive foul called on the ball handler there. I want to say that was Campos, yes, who was going against Ona. So he wraps around Ona with his left hand while he's driving with his right. That is an illegal play. It's an offensive foul, not the traditional offensive foul, the charge that you probably see on the highlight reels more often. But nonetheless, the official's in the correct spot to make that call, and he does it correctly.
We've also got Zakai Davis checked into the game for the Falcons. He's matched up against Della Foresta on the wing there, but we get Ben Dick with a paint touch. Kicks out to Ona, who will take a dribble and take a two-pointer, and that one's good.
Yeah, nice shot there by Ona in rhythm. I think I like Dick being a bit of facilitator on the interior as well. That's kind of one of those looks you want to look out for.
This is Lever getting into the lane, dumps it off for Matunga. No good. It's back out to Lever, and now Davis swings it over to Lever. Up fake on the three. LaBelle now trying to back his way into the paint.
That's a travel. Yep, and it's another travel called, and I think we've seen at least 3 or 4 players on the Falcons be called for that. When you get guys that aren't used to backing down defenders in a position where they have the favorable matchup to do so, you kind of expect to see that a little bit here with some oversized guards for Fanshawe going against a bit of a smaller Redeemer squad. I'm not too surprised to see that, Jared.
We've got Davis now, guarded by Lever. Is going to get a screen from Dick, but he's going to reject it. But Lawrence comes across into the lane, and
it's going to be a foul on Lawrence. So Lawrence comes in to provide a little bit of help there, but he's very late. He's not committing to that, nor should he. He's actually supposed to be responsible for the corner shooter. He's mostly just stepping in as a bit of a gap or a bit of a junk defender to throw Davis off. That time he steps in a little bit too strongly, but not quite strong enough to draw the charge.
Jackson Thackeray and Thomas Barbosa back into the game. See Parker Davis pick up his dribble and hand it off to Thackeray. Now with Barbosa, guarded by Davis. The ball gets away from him as he drives into the lane, but it settled for Ben Dick, but not enough time left on the shot clock as that expires for the Royals as Ben Dick just picks that one up in the paint. It's Redeemer's second shot clock violation of the night, and only so happening in the second half, both of them.
Yeah, that was almost borderline to me, though, Jared, because I thought that Fanshawe might have done enough to justify possession or a change of possession. I'm not disagreeing with the call fully, but just might be a borderline instance where you might make that argument.
Definitely.
Good defense there by Dick.
Barbosa now going the other way. Redeemer not electing to put all their numbers forward, but It'll be contact against Barbosa as he drives to the lane. He'll have a couple of free throws maybe, or no, this will be out of bounds.
It's going to be on the ground, yeah.
On the shot.
No real shot attempt there by Barbosa. So Fanshawe, though, I got to be honest, it might be something to think about. We're going to see a timeout here by Fanshawe. Is putting Redeemer in the bonus too early, right? Presents those instances where fouls made in the full court with, let's say, 3-4 minutes to go. So Fanshawe calls a timeout.
Oh, no.
But yeah, it's those instances where if you put yourself in the penalty too early, right, you leave Redeemer just that little extra window to get back in this game, whereas, you know, you have fouls to give can kind of slow down an offense and slow down the score from getting a bit too out of hand.
And as we have a moment for this timeout, Redeemer Royals Basketball would like to thank Wes Skilstra of Remax Escarpment Realty, the official sponsor of our final score updates this season. Wes is passionate about helping families find their place to call home. So whether you're buying or selling, trust experience and integrity, and trust Wes Skilstra of Remax Escarpment Realty. Thank you, Wes, for your ongoing support of Redeemer Royals Athletics.
So I'm interested to see. Yeah, so I'm interested to see King Stewart come back in the game here. I thought Ben Dick had some really solid minutes there, especially on the rebounding side of things and defensively.
Agreed, yeah.
Because I'm anticipating to see Fanshawe continue to put it inside and look to kind of exploit that mismatch that's presented itself.
Some calls for a travel from the Fanshawe bench, but one not called, but this will be touched out of bounds by Fanshawe. It'll stay Royals ball in the half court.
So 5 to shoot here. I think what we're probably going to see is a high post look for either King Stewart, and then maybe use that as a cutoff, or possibly a give and go with King Stewart here. We'll see what happens.
Ball inbound to Thackeray. Back to Davis. He just gets going to his right hand. Met by a couple defenders, had to flip that one up. No foul called. Shot clock expires, and it'll go the way of Fanshawe.
So I agree with the no call there, Jared, and the reason why is because Davis is not quite under control. I think previously when he's under control, he's the one that has his feet underneath him. All those calls are justified. However, in that case, Davis is out of control. He's stepping out for it off of 1 foot. I'm not too displeased about the no call there.
Lever now, guarded by Thackeray. The top of the horn, waiting for the initiation of the offense, but pulls up for a 2. That one's short. Makes no contact with the rim. Maybe a little bit of a forced jump shot from Addy Lever, not getting the movement he wanted to from his teammates. But
yeah, and I think Coach Brown there on the sideline by the officials probably having a word about a potential 3-second count violation. Not one that you see called too often at this level. But
we did have one earlier tonight.
We had one earlier tonight for sure. But it's one that I think Fanshawe might have been guilty of a few times more than average, just given the size mismatch that they have here.
That one's tried to be swung to the corner by Davis, but it's picked off by Bogart. Guarded by Ona near half court. Dribble picked up, and we'll see if Davis can get in the passing lane. He can. He's off to the races and gets the layup on the other end. Good steal by Parker Davis. And that'll bring him to 33 points on the game. It's Thor up now. Bogart.
Yeah, it calls for Barbosa to get up on the ball here. You got to speed up the Falcons here. You got to conserve as much time as you can, and you can't do that if you're allowing them extra time just to dribble. Barbosa was getting screamed at on the sideline there for Coach Brown. We'll see a substitution here. I think it's going to be Cole Arnold who will check back in. I like that. I like that call. I like that point. Redeemer needs to turn up the tempo here, and I think they can. We saw it on that previous possession. Davis is able to get in the lane, create a steal. That's done because of the man guarding the ball, speeding up the ball handler. They need more of that, obviously, to get back into this game. Get a few cheap ones, break down this deficit. It's only nine buckets when you think about it, right? So you break down those 9 buckets over as many possessions as you have left in this game. It's feasible, but the only way that happens is if you create more possessions, and you do that by playing higher pressure defense.
Very true.
So Redeemer has, I believe, still 2 timeouts left in this one. It's an important game for the Royals. The head-to-head battle against a team like Fanshawe near them in the standings is going to be very important. Redeemer's next game will not come until after the break. Meanwhile, for Fanshawe, their first game will come at home against Sheridan. It's going to be January 11th against a team that both of Redeemer and Fanshawe were unable to defeat earlier this year. While for Redeemer, their first game following the break is going to be away at Mohawk. So not really an away game, but nonetheless one that will not be played here at the Redeemer gym, as we see getting underneath there. That's Andrade, yeah.
And
dangerous pass.
Very dangerous pass. I think Thackeray probably decided he was going to throw that pass before he saw how well positioned Bogart was and steal coming from it. But Jackson doing well against the double team there to find a pass to King Stewart. Now to Arnold, who dumps it off to Davis on the block.
Yeah, really nice pass, because the help there was only trying to take the charge, and he made himself very small. Arnold was able to step around him easily, and that's a nice, easy leave to the teammate for 2. And that's the high-pressure defense. Thackeray's really good at doing that. He needs to be there speeding up the team here. And that's another wraparound.
Yeah.
Yep. We're going to see that call. The official on the near side here saw it. Andrade got his hand around the defender. And that's the second time we've seen that call made today, and it's the correct call. And with Davis, that bucket gets him to 35 points in the game. I believe that's nearing a career high for him. I want to say it is a career high. We can check that later if we get the chance.
I think he had exactly 35 earlier this season. I think it was a career high as well. So
something to look out for sure.
Yeah. It's Davis guarded by Kirabel back in the game. Screen coming from King Stewart. Davis goes the opposite way.
There it is.
Contact called, and based on Parker Davis's free throw shooting percentage, you'd think he'd have at least one make here and possibly a new career high.
Yeah, and I don't know there if I'm Fanshawe. I mean, the help needs to be on time for sure, but it's what we've been talking about. The Redeemer needs to ignite some of their other players, some of their other scorers, because if Davis is unable to, go for some historic showing today, they're not going to have the offense to get the result they need. So I think Fanshawe is okay to let Davis continue to milk points from the line if it means keeping the rest of the team quiet.
Yeah, and a stat that we're looking at so far is the Royals only have 6 made field goals outside of Parker Davis tonight.
Yeah.
So as far as getting everyone involved on the scoring action, it's a lot for one man to do, especially against a very good defensive team, but possibly maybe a reason why.
Talk about an announcer's jinx there, Jared.
Yeah,
I tell you.
I know.
0 for 2 for the first time in the game. He's 13 of 16 from the line.
King Stewart getting aggressive and tipping that pass away back into the backcourt for the Falcons. They've got 6 to work with now with Bogart. He'll step back for a left-handed 3, and unfortunately, Thackeray gets up in his landing zone, and it'll be a foul on that missed three-pointer by Brandon Bogart, and he'll go to the line for 3.
That's good offensive awareness, I think, by Brandon Bogart. Whether or not you think that's a foul, it certainly was well structured by Bogart to make the step back, to feel the contact and take the hit, and so he'll get 3 shots from the line now. And Bogart's been held a little bit quiet here in half number 2. He does have 16 points, and he'll get a chance to shoot one more here with just under 4 minutes to go. The lead still at that pesky 20 mark where we had it in the second quarter.
And with that, Brandon Bogart joins Demarion Ennis as being the 2 leading scorers for Fanshawe. Interesting, Demarion Ennis, we haven't seen him get the most touches all night, but it seems like he's just been running in transition or back cutting to get layups on the block, as we see Jackson Thackeray pushed out of bounds in the corner. The ball will stay with the Royals.
Yeah, I like that point, Jared, because Bogart's, not only does he have 16 points, he has 9 assists, right? And Ennis has been the beneficiary of a lot of buckets underneath. He's only attempted 2 3-point shots. All of his points have come from kind of near and around the basket, with the exception of a trip to the free throw line.
He's also got 9 rebounds, and we talked about Kual in the first half, who had 6 rebounds very early, only has 8 still now, but Demarion Ennis jumping out and getting a lot a lot of rebounds in the second half, and I think probably a good deal of which will have been on the offensive glass.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's one thing to look out for, I think, when you're Fanshawe. They've got a lot of more depth. And we talked about that in the women's game as well. But when you have that depth, you can rely on a little bit more diverse scoring options. And Fanshawe's certainly done that here. Gabe needs to get up and play some aggressive defense as well, though.
Got good defense from
Yep.
Thackeray on the drive from Thorup.
And that's one where I might give Coach Marcotilio a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, because I don't know if that foot moved. But that's been the way the game's been called today, and it's a matter of, it's gone both ways for sure. Fanshawe's just had a little bit more instances where they can get called for those travels.
Thackeray swings it to Gabriel Del Foresta, who drives left now, tries to put it home, and does. Gets the foul call as well. Nice left-handed make by Gabe Del Foresta late in this fourth quarter.
Yeah, that's a nice take by Gabe. I think he's a guy that doesn't really get as many of those perimeter opportunities, especially on the off the dribble attacking like that, but he has the ability to finish, and I like to see him get in the lane there for sure.
And gets the extra point to go. Converts on the three-point play, does Gabe Del Foresta, as Redeemer brings the lead down to the lowest we've seen it in a while at only 17. But only with just less than 3 minutes to play, not lots of time to run at that lead. Addie Lever with a little bit of a turnaround jump shot.
That's good defense there by Jackson. Not doing more than you can, forcing a tough shot.
And a nice kick to an open Jackson Thackeray, who knocks in a three from the left wing and gives Redeemer their first three-pointer of the night, if I'm not mistaken.
It is. That's a rhythm shot. You know, you got to play with a shortened shot clock when you're playing with the deficit. I want to see that bench on Redeemer's side get a little bit more energy. That's one thing that I think admitting defeat too early is going to cost him. But either way, a couple good possessions there by Jackson. I mean, he had the defensive possession. He's going up against a tough matchup in Lever. He didn't do too much. He stood his ground strong. He was physical, but he played straight up. Didn't allow any easy path around him. Got a hand up in the face, forced a tough 15-footer as Lever was fading away. Ended up getting the rebound as well. And then, you know, oftentimes I think when you have that many touches and that much involvement, your shots just seem to fall a little bit easier. You have a lot more confidence in your stroke. And Jackson's not a guy who typically finds a lot of his offense from the three-point line, but he can knock it down for sure. And so not too surprised to see him step into one there and light it up. Also,
Redeemer currently winning this fourth quarter at least. Up 15-10 in scoring so far in this fourth quarter. So
they're on a 5-0 run.
Yeah.
So this is a very important list of possessions. I think we might see a bit of zone defense here.
We'll see some high pressure from Elijah Ona on the ball carrier, but it'll be given up to Amon Walker. Demarion Ennis now on the wing. Cole Arnold overcommits a little bit as we get Kual on the...
Very nice possession. Sorry. Very nice possession by Fanshawe there, and we're going to see another timeout for Redeemer.
Yeah. But after the commit by Cole Arnold, we just saw Fanshawe take advantage of the space that was created in Kual, getting the layup down low there. But.
Yeah, really good patience by Ennis. He sees that his man is out of position. Arnold tried to get the steal. He doesn't attack with too much aggression because he knows that somebody else is going to come, as they should, right? And the more rotations you force the defense to make when they're out of position, the higher percentage shots you're going to get. And at that point, Ennis makes one extra play, stops strong off of 2 feet, dishes it down, Kual gets the easy layup.
And we'd like to remind everyone that tonight's Redeemer Royals basketball game is proudly brought to you by Finn Pools, a proud sponsor of your Royals and the Make a Splash move of the game. For over 25 years, Finn Pools has been transforming backyards with custom designs, expert installations, and trusted maintenance, delivering top-quality products they stand behind. From concept to completion, they believe kindness matters and every project deserves excellence. So if you're interested, visit finnpools.ca, that's FINNPOOLS.ca, to learn more or to start your next pool project today. Thank you to Finn Pools for supporting Redeemer Royals Athletics. We've got 2:22 left on the game clock. Thackeray inbounds to Arnold as we'll get a little bit of a zone press from Fanshawe.
I like this look.
And that's just not enough power on that swing pass from Thackeray as Kual comes down the other way, almost throws down a vicious slam. But it comes back off the rim, and the swing now over to the left wing for Kual. He thought about a three, but will eat as much time off the clock as possible. Thackeray coming back in and Just a little bit too much aggression gets called for the foul on the reach in there.
Yeah, and I like that look for Fanshawe. The reason being is because rather than sitting back and giving Redeemer all the time in the world to get up and try to get a quick shot, they forced Redeemer to take some time off the clock. It certainly wasn't the expected look they were going to get. And then again, best case scenario, you create a turnover. Worst case scenario, Redeemer gets a quick 2, right? And you force this into a situation where now they're, the possessions have just been decreased enough. You might not get enough time to come back into this game.
Entry into Kowal. He's driving left on King Stewart. And he'll be fouled on his attempt at the rim and go to the free throw line. With less than 2 minutes, already a 16-point lead and the chance to add 2 more to that.
Yeah, very long strides there from Kowal. He's had a pretty solid game. Making shots from the mid-range, that 1-3 he had earlier in that time, just drawing his defender into a tough situation, putting up that pump fake, able to extend, get into the lane, draws the foul.
There's also 5 players for the Falcons who are shooting 50% or better from the field.
Yeah, that's been the difference. I mean, you look at the Redeemer side of things, a majority of their opportunities, for the most part, have come from the free throw line. It just shows that you're creating and giving up good shots for better shots, and I think we've seen that a lot of Fanshawe doing today. They have 23 assists on those 35 made field goals. Redeemer still has 12 assists in the game, which is solid, but they've only had 19 made field goals. That's 28%. That's not going to be good enough to win pretty much any game in this division. Nice take there, though, by Cole Arnold.
14 points the difference currently between these two teams as we see Amon Walker get around Del Foresta. He picked up his dribble.
So we're seeing a 3-2 press here with King Stewart at the top. That's an interesting look that we haven't seen yet in this one.
Parker Davis coming out of Redeemer's side of the court, takes a layup, but it gets tipped away from him. He's now in the corner, takes a little bit of a contested 3. That one's long and rebounded by Bogart. Arnold and King Stewart trying to double, but he gets the pass off, and Fanshawe outlets up to Amon Walker, who gets around Davis. Almost throws that one out of bounds. It's collected by Gabe Del Foresta, goes the other way. Nice behind the back move. See if he can dump it off to Davis. It's just a little bit behind Parker Davis, but last touch off Fanshawe. Ball will stay with Redeemer here as we've got 1:06 left on the game clock here.
So that's what Fanshawe was trying to avoid by bringing in that full court press out of the last timeout, is allowing Redeemer to speed up the game.
Davis tried to put up a couple shots there, and neither of them even necessarily got to the rim, as we see now Amon Walker down the other way. Good straight-up defense by Gabe Del Foresta, but last touch will be off of Redeemer. It'll stay Fanshawe ball.
Yeah, Redeemer needs to keep things clean down here. You got to continue to play good defense, take care of the basketball. You're under a minute now. You got to make sure that you get out of this one clean.
Demarion Ennis attacking. Kind of goes up and under. Lays it home with the right hand.
And I like this timeout too as well, because again, we saw a little bit of extracurriculars happening in the second quarter at the end of the half, right? There's a lot of basketball still to be played. Let's not make the mistake. Obviously, this is a big loss for Redeemer in terms of the standings. But there's a lot of momentum, I think, that can still be built on a semester like this. I think you found a little bit of identity. You were outplayed in this one. Fanshawe came out. They did what they had to do to equalize Redeemer's strengths, right? They gave up a lot of points to Parker Davis, but look at the rest of the team, right? Not a whole lot of production there. Davis is over half the points. So if you're Redeemer here, under no circumstances can what ended the first half be what ends the second half here. You got to play this clean, get out of the game. Take what you've learned out of this first semester and bring it into next month. And so with this one, Fanshawe, if they can close things out here with 50 seconds to go, Fanshawe will move to 4-5. It'll be their third straight win. which will put them right back in the mix in the mid-pack on the OCAA West. Of course, Humber sits atop the OCAA West with that 7-0 record. Fanshawe will be comfortably ahead of Conestoga with the win here today, the team that Redeemer does have a head-to-head advantage against, and they will play at Conestoga in the second semester.
It's a missed 3 in the corner from Thackeray as we've got 35 left on the game clock now. A pass ahead by Walker to Campos. That's just too far ahead of him, out of bounds. Give the Royals a possession.
Yeah, and with the win today, Redeemer could have put themselves in a 3-way tie for that seventh place spot with both Fanshawe and Conestoga, both teams that they could have, of course, had a win against. So there's by no means is this an end to the season. They still have a shot at getting into that playoff mix. They're going to have to convert some of these games into wins. You'd think about the game against Niagara 2 weekends ago where they played well, they were in the game, they didn't let it get ahead of them, right? But they couldn't close it out. Fanshawe was able to do that, I think, on Wednesday when they played Niagara, right? Even a game against Lambton, a team that they played on the road, that's a game that you're going to need in the second semester, right? You start to look in the top half of the standings, right? Sheridan, St. Clair, those are teams that you gave up a lot of points against, right? Those are games that kind of, I think, you identify your weaknesses, right? So it's in games like this where I think there's a lot of materializing. I think Fanshawe, they held Redeemer to 70 points. Redeemer scored a lot more than this against some of those top teams, right? So Fanshawe has done a really good job defensively against Redeemer, which is what we expect. But I think it gives a lot for both coaches, the coaching staff for Redeemer to pay attention to as we head down the stretch here.
Nice take and a finish by Parker Davis as we get the shot clock turned off now. But Parker Davis staying on it, pokes that away and dives out of bounds to try and keep it in, and it comes the other way with Cole Arnold, who fakes and is not able to get the layup to go. 3 seconds left on the clock. We'll have Del Foresta in the corner. And that's been the story of the night for Gabe Del Foresta from 3, unfortunately. Had some great contribution from the free throw line and in some other parts of the game as well. But Redeemer falls to the Fanshawe Falcons at home, 85-73. Considering all that went on and what some of the team statistics showed so far in this game, 12 points is not a big margin to have lost this game.
No, you're right. And I think a lot of that goes down to number 12 in White, career high 39 points in this game. Obviously, the second quarter was the difference. 32-20 in favor of Fanshawe. They did win the first and third quarter, but that second quarter certainly was the difference maker. So I'm not too upset with the way that Redeemer kind of responded. I think they played really well in that fourth quarter defensively to kind of hold Fanshawe to 14 points. But clearly, you can attribute the difference there, the other 15, 13 points to those offensive rebounds that they gave up. So that's going to be one of the things I want to look out for. Obviously, Davis having a fantastic game today. You can't say anything about that. I want to see a little bit more production out of some of their other guards. I want to see Gabe get a little bit more involved. But other than that, I think a lot to unpack after this first semester, and I'm looking forward to what we might see from them in the second half of the season.
Absolutely. Yeah, we thank you for joining us tonight. We hope you enjoyed this game as much as we did. As for myself, Jared Meyer, and Will Dykstra, this is the last Redeemer Royals basketball home game of this calendar year. Mm-hmm. So the next time we'll see you, it will be 2026. Did we find out who Redeemer's next game is against?
Yeah, so they'll be taking on Mohawk actually at the David
Bradley.
Yeah, the David Braley campus over on Fennel Street in Hamilton Mountain. That's always a great game. So we hope that if you're in the Ancaster, Hamilton area, that you'll make it out for that one. After that, of course, it'll be on the road at Kitchener on the following Wednesday, the 14th of January. For what might be another one of these games important for records and for standings. So that'll be a rematch of a game that Redeemer did win here on campus a couple of weeks back, and so a lot of great basketball to be played. The next home game will be here the following Saturday, the 17th, 3 p.m. start time against the Sheridan Bruins. So until then, everybody on the live stream, we thank you, of course, for joining us. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we'll see you in